How you doing, everyone? This is Matthias Atva from Direct Dreadnought, your Dreadnought PS4 replay guy. Well, this is by popular demand because people were so interested and invested in the carrier series I put out. The question has come up, of course, if we're changing strikecraft in the game, Dreadnoughts should no longer have the same strikecraft, or something needs to change. And I think the general consensus is we would replace most of the strikecraft with different kinds of Dreadnought type modules, which would make Dreadnoughts more like battleships instead of just large ships that could either be battleships or carriers. So if you look in history, many battleships do have scout fighters, and they had biplanes in World War II off the back of them. And even though now with carriers that you don't see that much anymore, it's still something that has precedence in the past. And I thought maybe if the carrier ever came to fruition and the new strikecraft modules were made for that new carrier, that the Dreadnought would still have at least one strikecraft module. And I thought that one of the scouts would be perfect for that role as a lookout for a battleship as it uses its main guns. And I'm probably thinking the Jammer Scout would be the module that Dreadnoughts would still use. It would provide scouting information, picking up cloaked targets, and would also scramble targets closing in or targets far away like artillery cruisers, and give Dreadnoughts a time to get away or give them an opportunity to not get shot. And I thought that that would be very helpful. The module that I would propose, the one I really like, is something I got from Star Wars, with all the ships in Star Wars having essentially EMP or ion cannons. I thought that a drain broadside would be a very interesting addition to Dreadnoughts, where Dreadnoughts already have ways for doing stasis, armor amplification, knocking down armor with rupture, but they don't really have a way to drain another Dreadnought's shields. And if you are a veteran of the game and you know about or have most of the officer briefings, you know that a Dreadnought with lots of shields using Get My Good Side and Retaliator is a very, very hard nut to crack, even if you drain them with a drain pulse or hit them with a drain missile. They can get that energy back very quickly. And sometimes having just a normal broadside does not cut the mustard, and nukes don't cut the mustard either. A lot of times Dreadnoughts need help from other ships to take down other Dreadnoughts. And I thought an interesting broadside, instead of doing a plasma or ballistic broadside for damage, or a high damage broadside that we already have, such as the flak broadside, that we would have a new fourth kind of broadside that would just do energy damage. And it's basically a drain broadside, or you could call it an EMP or ion broadside, in which it has about the same range as the normal plasma broadside or ballistic broadside, with a similar cooldown that of course would have to be adjusted for balance. But instead of damaging ships, it would actually do the same as drain torpedoes, where every little broadside shot that hits maybe drains a target ship of 10, maybe 15 power, and you fire 6, 7, 8 shots with this. And when this happens, it puts on the drain debuff mechanic, keeping a ship from getting more power naturally. It can still get it from Get Your Good Side or be boosted by tactical, but stop the power generation for just a second from normal power generation to your generator, to try to keep the shields down or lower the shields for a little bit to get some damage done with regular weapons or missiles on a Dreadnought that is fully decked out with the correct modules and the right officer briefings to be impenetrable. And I thought that this would be an interesting mechanic. It could also scare away other ships like destroyers and the like that come in, or of course you could warp in with the Dreadnought warp and come in, and instead of doing a lot of damage with a broadside that is just negated by a lot of tactical cruisers, you could take out a tactical cruiser's shields and its energy generator to prevent it from using power to weapons to heal faster or use shields to just keep tanking and use retaliator and pump out pods, you could disrupt that by warping in, hitting them with this ion broadside, knocking down and draining them, and then maybe dropping a nuke, triad pods, or secondary weapons or primary weapons to help take them out, get some more damage done. So I thought that'd be an interesting module that has sort of a precedence in a lot of sci-fi shows, and I thought it'd be a good addition. So with that module, we'll probably be replacing interceptors, and to replace bombers, a longtime rival and gamer buddy of mine, Lord Meatspin, who doesn't play Dreadnought anymore but still keeps up with Dreadnought news and many of the Dreadnought players on Nuclear Inferno's Dread Chat, and was also a terror back in his day. Lord Meatspin had a great idea to do less damage with a broadside but have more range. This was inspired from Warhammer 40k Lance technology and long-range laser turrets, or heavy long-range broadsides you see on current battleships and other space battleships like Harlock and Gundam and other animes, where they're firing these giant laser cannons at long range. Space battleship Yamato does this as well, which, I mean, come on, it's obvious Dreadnought, the game, takes some pointers and cues and Easter eggs from space battleship Yamato, and that is having a long-range laser broadside, which would be between 4,000 and 5,000 meters, and it's, you know, roughly double the range of conventional plasma or ballistic broadsides, but does less damage. Probably you'd have to pair it with the correct cooldown. Maybe it does have the same damage as ballistic broadside, but probably double the cooldown of ballistic broadside, or have maybe a little bit more damage than ballistic broadside, but triple the cooldown of ballistic broadside. But to give Dreadnoughts a little more range for less damage, just pump out the damage at that much needed medium range, because Dreadnoughts, besides their missiles, don't really have much at medium range, and most of their missiles and torpedoes are actually pretty close range as well. So I thought that was a great idea from Lord Meatspin, well thought out. No one else really came up with that, and it's something that has precedent in the sci-fi universe, in several different shows and cartoons and movies. And I thought, as broadsides go, even Star Wars has ships with giant laser broadsides, and I thought, as broadsides go, that would be a pretty good one. That would fill a niche that just really isn't there for Dreadnoughts. So Dreadnoughts would probably get 2 new broadsides, a drain broadside and a long range, and I say long range in quotations because we're talking nothing more than 5,000 meters, a long range laser broadside that does a little less damage but gives Dreadnoughts, especially Dreadnoughts that aren't jumping, something to do at medium range. And of course we'll still keep a scout fighter module from the new strike fighter modules to give Dreadnoughts some scouting ability and something to harass ships at long range as well. So I think that wraps it up for the 3 proposed new Dreadnought modules that would replace the current strike fighter modules that we find on Dreadnought, if carriers ever came out, and if they came out similarly to what I have proposed in Carrier Part 1 and 2, which were released last week. So I thought I would just do this quick video and let you guys talk and discuss, and maybe bring up your own suggestions for potential replacement modules for Dreadnoughts if carriers came out. Thank you guys for watching, and hopefully I'll be a little less busy soon. We're getting to the final stretch of it, and I'm eager to get back into full swing, and very happy that the channel is still alive, and of course the game of Dreadnought is still alive, and that our community is growing. Well, that's it from me for now, and I'll see you soon in Sinley Bay.